الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So we're starting on ayah 196 of Baqarah, and it mentions Hajj and Umrah. And so Brother Muhammad Anwar, he mentioned a very important point yesterday. May Allah reward him, increase him. He he we were talking about the right to intimacy in marriage, and how it's very important that one provides that for one's spouse as best as one can. And so he asked a question. He said, well, what about i'tikaf? So the guy goes and tells his wife, oh, I'm going to be in i'tikaf for the next 10 days or the next 20 days. He could be in i'tikaf all the time, right? So how do we describe that, right? So here's the first question. So he says, he asked the question, does the husband have to ask permission from his wife? So first of all, when does a man have to ask the permission from his wife for anything? That's the first question, right? Some people are smiling. But so it's a very important fundamental thing to understand that the relationship between the husband and the wife is very much like the relationship between the husband and the child. Okay? The relationship between husband and wife is very much like the relationship between the husband and the child. So, do I have to ask my child permission to leave him and go somewhere else? The answer is no. I don't have to ask my child for anything. But Farid, you left. It was just you and Mikhail. You left Mikhail by himself. Was that a responsible thing to do? So the relationship between you, a man and his wife, is the same kind of thing. Is that you are managing. You're a manager. You're not a what's it called? You're not there to take. You are there to manage. There's a big difference. So if you're a manager, do you have to ask your inferiors, the people you work with, permission to leave? No. But Habibi, you just left and the whole building fell down. Why? You're a manager, right? The Prophet described us as a ra'i, as a shepherd. So you can leave your sheep. You can do whatever you want. The sheep can't say, bah, we object. You're not in that relationship. I'm your shepherd. You're my sheep. I tell you, go here, go here. But you left the sheep and the sheep got eaten by the wolf. You left the sheep and the sheep starved, right? And so this is the relationship you have. And so somebody who's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. You can do whatever you want, because he's thinking that the sheep are trying to control me. The sheep are not trying to employ. The sheep are asking you to help them. So your number one thing is a manager and a helper, right? So you look at the situation and you say, yes, my wife definitely needs me to be here. Then why did you leave? Oh, because I can do whatever I want. You can do whatever you want. Not a problem. You can do whatever you want. But you're a bad manager. You're not being a shepherd that you're supposed to be. You're not helping the situation, right? So you're supposed to be there and say this and this and this. As for a relationship where, sweetheart, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I buy my own coffee? Why are you buying your own coffee? Just get it from at work. It's like, subhanAllah, your wife is telling you for every nickel and dime that you spend, whether you can do it or not. That's wrong, because she's not your superior, right? She's not your superior. You're her superior, right? So you don't ask her permission, but you manage the situation, right? There's a big difference. So somebody who's like, yeah, I tell my wife what to do. No, you don't. So what does that mean? That's like somebody who I say, yeah, I kick my sheep. Well, you're a good shepherd, aren't you? I killed all of my sheep. Okay, where's the food? Where's the milk tomorrow then? So you're managing the flock. The flock have to get from here to the other valley. Don't push them too hard because it's too hot. When are they going to shade? When do they get water? There was one got into the river. He's now going downstream. You got to go and get him. You got to do this. You're managing the flock. That's your job. Your job is not to kill the flock. Your job is not to let the flock tell you where to go, right? Because that's not your rijal qawwamun ala nisa. Allah's going to tell us later on. Men are in charge of. So you don't ask, if I'm teaching a child and I realize they have a problem with letters, I say, hey, what do you want to do next? I'm not going to ask the kid, what do you want to do next? I'm trying to think. Sometimes I need to know how he's feeling, how are you getting, you got the letter now? Because we're going to go to the next letter now. So I want to know where you are, not because I'm going to obey you, but because I'm trying to help you, right? So somebody who is, they have these kind of conversations with their wife, like who's wearing the pants? That's a wrong. That's just nobody's wearing the pants because nobody's trying to control the other person. Is that the husband? I am here as your helper and your manager, right? I'm here as your helper and your manager, right? So I'm, for example, I'm in charge of a department, and Muhammad comes in, he's in charge. I'm like, dude, don't tell me what to do. I've been in charge of this department 10 years. He's like, bro, I've been paid by your boss to help you develop this department. I'm like, I don't need you. So every time he tells me, like, stop telling me what to do, it's like, you're an idiot. And he keeps telling me what to do. Well, he's also an idiot. He's trying to help me do my job better, right? I'm coming to the situation and I'm saying, how can I help make this situation better, right? All things being equal, she's fine at home. How are you doing? You're okay. What do you think about i'tikaf? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Right? And then she's like, no, but you know she can do it. She's just saying it for another reason. It's like, okay, so I don't have to obey you. I have to see how you're doing, right? There's a big difference. So the relationship is a lot. It's not exactly the same, but it's a lot like your relationship with the child. You don't obey the child. The child doesn't want to eat vegetables, and the child doesn't like this vegetable. It actually makes them throw up. So, okay, tell me then. Tell me that this vegetable makes you throw up. I didn't know that. I'm not going to ask you to eat that, but you have to eat some other vegetables because you need to have vegetables. So you don't obey your child, you help your child. You don't obey your wife, you help your wife, right? There's a big difference, right? And so, but it is a real thing, right? And so this is a complaint. Again, I'm not talking about any particular group, but Jama'at Tabligh, right? This is a complaint that people have. Jama'at Tabligh. Brother, I'm going on khuruj, right? I'm going to go on 10 days, 40 days, and it's like, brother, you have teenage kids at home. Do you think she can manage teenage kids? No. That's the problem with America, single mothers, right? Where I'm a teenager and my mom can't control me, of course. So I just do whatever I want and I lie to my mom and I get into trouble. Oh, but my dad's doing da'wah in Bangladesh. I'm not in Bangladesh. Like I need you here, right? I need you here. So from the age of 10 to I don't know 25, that's what people need their parents. Particularly the boys need their dad. Because at certain points, like what are you gonna do? Like when your mom's not even as tall as you and she shouts at you and she always shouts at you. So whatever. Right? You need somebody to say, Dad, help me navigate this situation. What do men do? How do men look at homework? How do men look at fitna at school? How do men look at kids beating me up? How do men do these things? That's what we need to do. Process things, right? Process things. So it's not an issue of obedience, issue of you're responsible, right? So I remember this sheikh, he was teaching this book on a Sunday evening. And I was always teaching on a Sunday evening because I taught to the West, who's in the West, right? And so he's like, Fareed, did you attend my class last night? I said, no, I didn't attend your class last night. He's like, you listened to the recording. I was like, okay, Sheikh. Like, it was just strange. Like, it wasn't a particularly important book. Like, why? And I remember? I listened to the recording, and what's the hadith? كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَن يُضَيِّعْ مَنْ يَعُولُ أو مَنْ يَقُوتُ. It is sufficiently evil for a man to squander those whom he's responsible for. So you went off. I can spend what any money I want, fine, but you don't have any income, and now we don't have any money for food. So it's not, oh, you're such a masculine man that can do whatever you want. You're an idiot. We have food. There's no food on the table, right? So so you put your wife in a situation. Yeah, I can do what I want. You can do whatever you want, but you didn't help her, right? And then you find out something about your wife 2, 3 years later, and then it causes a divorce. Like, who created the divorce? You did. You created that divorce. You didn't manage the situation. Who is the manager here? She's not the manager. She is not the manager. You are the manager. Yet that means you take responsibility. Managers get paid a lot, but they don't do a lot, do they? You manage a department. You actually do nothing, but you manage things and you take responsibility. And when it all goes down, you're next on the line. That's how it works. You're the one who's going to get fired, not the employee, right? And so this is the thing about managing people. So, so managing a wife's emotional needs, physical needs, financial needs, right? You realize your wife cannot deal with a certain way of living. You can't deal with this. You can't deal with that. This is managing it, right? And so that's a very important thing. So yes, it's a haqq that she has. She has a haqq to these kind of things. But you don't obey your wife. You help your wife, right? And no woman wants to be obeyed, even if she says it. I'm telling you, you got to do this right now. She doesn't want to be obeyed. No woman wants to be obeyed because that's not fitrah. That's not the fitrah, right? She doesn't like that, right? But she also doesn't want to live with somebody who's a monster, right? Whatever I say goes. Okay, Habibi, you're arrogant. I don't respect that. You're horrible. I don't respect that. You're an idiot. I don't respect that. I don't respect any of these things. As opposed to, I listen to your comments. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. Bah, 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 bah. I've listened to your comments. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree, right? So that's a relationship with our kids, right? The kids are like, I don't want to go to this school anymore. And you're like, no, you need to go to that school. I don't want to go to college. You're like, no, you have to go to college. I understand what you're saying. I've listened to your comments. I understand. And we've spoken, but this is the decision that we made, right? As opposed to, let me ask my wife. When you say, let me ask my wife, that doesn't mean ask her for permission. That means, how is it going to work out, right? So Brother Muhammad's like, hey, Fareed, I haven't been out to your house for iftar. Oh, 1 second. Let me ask permission from my wife. What that means is, so and so, can we do this? She's like, no, I cannot do that. This is happening and this is happening and this. You're asking me to do something I can't do. Okay, that's called rahmah. As opposed to, let me ask permission of my wife. Oh, she said no, and she got angry. Bro, don't make her ask her again because I'm going to get scared again, right? So these are key things. You're scared of your wife. It's like, that's a problem, right? So who should be scared of? Allah. You shouldn't be scared of anybody else. Not your mom, not your dad, not your wife, not the police, nobody, right? And if your wife gets a sense that you're scared of her, it's not a nice relationship. Just like the dog. What happens to a dog? Your wife is not a dog, of course. But if a dog, there is a master and there is a dog, right? What happens if the dog knows that you're not that you are scared of it? It will bark at you and it will bite you. This happened. There was a very nice big, I don't know what it was. It was a big dog, bulldog, whatever. Bulldogs are very protective. They're very nice to little kids. The bulldog killed the little girl. Why? Because the bulldog understands mommy and daddy, they're like the alpha male. They tell me to sit, I sit. But the bulldog was trained to think that the girl was beneath her. So then the dog was just like, yeah, just attack it. Why not? Because they didn't train the dog properly, right? So that doesn't mean you should be harsh to your wife, but that's how they understand things. So if you're scared of your wife and you ask things like you're in a fear, it's not a, she hates it, she resents it, it's horrible, and it's not a healthy relationship for you, it's not a healthy relationship for her, as opposed to, I'm asking you because I actually care. I have rahmah. It's a big difference. You ask your kid, hey, is basketball 4 times a week too much for you? He's like, honestly, Dad, it's too much for me. Okay, don't worry. You don't have to do the competition. It's okay. And he's scared. Oh, but Daddy, you said I had to win because you're paying this. I said, it's okay, but because it's too much for you. I'm not obeying my child. I'm showing compassion for my child. There's a fundamental difference, right? Fundamental difference. That's why you shouldn't come to the mosque. Brother Muhammad Anwar, banned from home, banned from the masjid. That's it. Just drive around. Okay, so now it's here, for example, comes on to Umrah. I'm going on Umrah. So you're spending money that we don't have, and you're going away and leaving with the kids at this time. Yeah, I can do what I want. The Sheikh said I can do what I want. Right? That's not right. You can do whatever you want, but you're responsible. Right? I remember one of my managers, he said, one of my managers, he said, his own manager told him once, he said, I don't want to see you working. Like, I don't want you to be doing work. I want you to be managing the work. Like you have 20 people, 40 people, you're prioritizing things for them so they know what to do, not that you're actually doing the work, right? That's not useful. I don't mind if you sit here for 6 hours a day not doing your work, as long as you're prioritizing and you're responsible. You can do, it's not a problem, right? Polygamy, the same thing. Brother, go ahead, Bismillah. If it's good for your family, go and get a second wife. But if it's like, yeah, I hate her, and this is going to be to get back at her. She's always trying to control me. Now watch this. Like, dude, you're immature. You're immature, right? That's like a 3-year-old behavior, right? You stole my toy, now I'm going to steal yours. So there's a big difference between I see this as important for the whole family and a decision I'm making, even though some people might not be happy about it initially, or they don't see the whole picture, as opposed to, yeah, I can do what I want. Okay, so like just to prove to her that I can do what I want, right? It means you've already lost ages ago, right? Inshallah, we'll continue to talk about this, inshallah, later on. But this is a key thing, and this is a problem for many people, particularly Westerners, but anybody in the whole world is a Westerner right now. All women are Western women right now, right? It's all the same. But there is a hierarchy, right? So here's a key thing for us. Again, we'll talk about this in marriage. A key thing: how can we build the next ummah? Raise your daughters and boys in a proper way. You raise your boys to be responsible. Raise your girls to understand. So if your daughter cannot respect you, who's she not going to respect? Her husband tomorrow. Same thing. You can tell him, this is where ghiba is halal. Say, listen, brother, you want to marry my daughter? Go ahead, knock yourself out. But she's super disrespectful. That's a wajib on you. That's wajib. Like, she doesn't know what it means to be respectful to her dad. So good luck. Right? As opposed to, my daughter's amazing. She memorized the Quran. I really don't care if she memorized the Quran. Or she wears hijab. She chose to wear hijab, but she has an attitude issue with her mum, with her dad, etc. Because the respect to her husband is more than the dad. So if it's like somebody who and the respect to Allah is even more than that. So you can't respect your dad, you can't respect your husband, you can't respect Allah, of course. Right? So it starts off right in the beginning. Boys, be responsible. You do whatever you want, but be responsible. Girls, do whatever you want, but fear Allah and be respectful. That's your mum. You can't talk to your mum like that. Can't talk to your dad like that. Can't talk to your big brother like that. Your big brother said stop. You got to stop. Because tomorrow, same thing. So now she's married. Like, why would I respect anybody? I don't respect my mum. I don't respect my dad. And now, like, oh, we'll respect you for husband. Why? Why would I respect him? How could I don't have the material to respect? I don't know what respect is to begin with. So what do you want me to do? Okay, Bismillah. So it says, complete the pilgrimage and minor pilgrimage for the sake of Allah, i.e. Hajj and Umrah. But if prevented, i.e. you're on the journey, you're coming from Uzbekistan, and when you got to Iraq, some bandits took hold of you and chained you to a tree and took everything from you, and they didn't let you go past, something like that, right? Then offer whatever sacrificial animals you can afford. So you're coming from Uzbekistan and you're bringing your camels with you. That's the default. You're bringing your camels with you to be slaughtered in Mecca and to be given to the poor of Mecca. Or you didn't come with anything. You just went on a trip, but you had money. So you're now in Iraq, you're now in the Levant, you're in wherever you've got to. You're going to buy a sheep, buy a cow, buy a camel, etc., and slaughter it and give it to the poor. And then now you're out of ihram, right? Because Allah doesn't want to put you in a situation that is too difficult. And do not shave your heads until the sacrificial animal reaches its destination. So you've slaughtered, yes, alhamdulillah. Okay, now you can shave your head, you're out of ihram. Or, mashallah, you got all the way to Mecca, and it's not now on Eid, and you slaughter your animal, and alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, it's got to where it's supposed to be, and now you can shave your head. But if any of you is ill or has a scalp ailment, then compensate by either fasting, charity, or sacrificial animals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is kind. Yes, when you're in ihram, there's things you can't do. You can't cut your hair, you can't cut your nails, you can't wear certain clothes, you can't do this, but there are exceptions. Situation where you're very difficult medical issue, etc. You had to have an operation on your head, so they had to shave your hair. Okay, so you shave your head, and Allah's not going to punish you for that, but you have to compensate by either fasting 3 days, giving charity, or sacrificing a sheep. In times of peace, you may combine the pilgrimage and minor pilgrimage, then make the sacrificial offering you can afford. So what's the idea here is that there's something called the miqat, right? The miqat is an imaginary line around the sacred, the Kaaba. So when you're coming from Pakistan or the East, you're gonna cross an imaginary line. When you're coming from the north, you're gonna cross an imaginary line, south, east, right? So for us, for example, when if we're flying west to east, then basically before we arrive over Jeddah, there's an area called Juhfa, and that area that's where the miqat is. So before you kind of cross the Red Sea, before you're in the area, you're gonna enter ihram. Now you have to do that every single time you do a ritual. So every single time you go on Umrah, you have to cross the miqat before the Hajj. So here you're going to do a Hajj and an Umrah with one crossing. So what do? You slaughter a sheep in its place. And so notice how it works. You do something wrong, people benefit. Slaughtering a sheep is not about blood, Nor is it about paying to a sheep. It is about giving protein and fat to people. Very important, right? That's a very important thing, right? Whoever cannot afford that offering, so Allah's kind, ya Allah, I don't have the money to buy a sheep. Then let him fast 3 days during Hajj and 7 when he goes back home, completing 10. These offerings are for those who do not live in the sacred house. So if you live in Mecca itself and you do a Hajj and Umrah together, you don't have to do that. And be mindful of Allah and know that Allah is severe in punishment. Commitment to pilgrimage is made in appointed months. So when you enter Ihram for Hajj, it's going to be in Shawwal or the Qa'dah or the first 10 days of the Hijjah. That's it. As for Umrah, it can be anytime. Anytime you can do Umrah, right? But for Hajj, it's a specific time. Whoever commits to performing pilgrimage, let them stay away from intimate relations, foul language, and arguments during pilgrimage. Whatever good you do, Allah fully knows of it. Take necessary provisions for the journey. Surely the best provision is righteousness. So the mushrikeen, the pagan Arabs, they had twisted the religion, and they said anybody who comes into from outside of the sacred area to the sacred area, they can't bring clothes because it's not sacred, and you can't bring food because it's not sacred. So you have to come to us and get sacred clothes from us, i.e., we make money out of you. And if you don't have that, then you can't eat, and you're going to have to be naked. And so during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they saw people doing tawaf naked, right? And this is a useful thing for us. That's what used to happen. So there'll be blood and najasa in front of the Kaaba, all these gods there, and the naked people doing tawaf. That's what used to happen. Because that's how they messed up the deen, right? That's how they messed up the deen, right? Just like Christmas, right? It's like now everybody's born in September because of a Christmas party. What went wrong at a Christmas party? It's like, where's your religion now? A very short time, it wasn't a long time ago. A short time ago, Christmas was about the poor. The Christmas spirit is be generous to your family and generous to the poor. That's not a long time ago at all. 100 years ago. Now it's about crack up the credit card, right? That's what it's about. How much money did they spend on one whole month of Christmas lights? Okay, what about the poor? So you're going to ask any Christian, and they're like, can you see how your religion has been changed in 100 years? Right? Allahu Alam, Santa, as far as I understood, Santa didn't used to wear green or blue. So why does he wear red? Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola advertisement, change it to red. So your religion is based on Coca-Cola, right? So this is how perverted things are, right? The Olympics. So the Olympics started I believe in the 20th century to do ta'zeem, to venerate shirk. So the Olympics is an ancient thing of the shirk of the Greeks. So when Christianity said, we don't do that stuff. We don't go and slaughter animals to zoos. We don't do the Olympic things. We don't do that. So why did it start again? Because we hate Tawheed and we love shirk, right? There's a whole movement in Europe now, right? Venerating for example, in Scandinavia, they only became Christian about 1,000 years ago, right? So they weren't, when you go to Scandinavia, they were Vikings. They're worshipping Thor and Odin, etc. So they have a revival now of like worshipping Thor and Odin and things like that. In England, there's all these different things, reviving old Roman celebrations and etc. Right? So these things, the perversion of religion is the thing we see with our own eyes, how it gets twisted and twisted and twisted. Right? So this is what they used to do. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا. So Allah tells them, don't do stupid shirk things, which means you can't wear clothes, that you can't bring food. Don't be silly. Bring food. It's totally fine. You're traveling. Of course, you need to eat. It's not a problem. So Allah raises us from shirk to iman, and from iman to ihsan. So then Allah says, by the way, what's the best thing to bring with you? At-taqwa. See how this is how Allah changed things. From here to here to here. Surah An-Nur, we're going to see later on, inshallah, if we make it. It's going to go from banning prostitution to lowering your gaze to Allahu Nur as-samawati wal-ard. One system. Corruption of this society, corruption of the individual, correcting society, correcting the individual, pure ikhlas and pure tawheed and pure ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All one system, right? So it's all one thing. So if you fix yourself, you fix society, fix society, fix yourself. It's one system. But the Jews and the Christians want deen to be just in the masjid. It has nothing to do with life. There's business, and then there's the church. There's politics, and then there's the church. No, that's not how it is in the deen. Islamic studies is physics. Islamic studies is chemistry. Islamic studies is economy. Islam is everything. Every single thing in life is this thing, right? So anyway, this point here is وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. And be mindful of Allah, O people of reason. There is no blame in you for seeking the bounty of your Lord during the journey. You want to make money on Hajj, it's fine. That's not a problem. So I'm going from Spain to Morocco, and I sold merchandise in Morocco. And then I bought merchandise in Morocco, sold it in Egypt, sold merchandise. MashaAllah, I turn up in Mecca as a millionaire. So, but it wasn't a sacrifice. I didn't do it for the sake of Allah. That's okay. You made money on the trip, it's not a problem. That's totally fine. Just like you can work during i'tikaf. I don't have time off in the last 10 days. Okay. Sit in the masjid and do your work on your computer. It's fine. And when you return from Arafat, praise Allah near the sacred place and praise Him for having guided you. For surely before this guidance, you were astray. Then go forth with the rest of the pilgrims. I mean, حَيْثُ أَفَاضَ النَّاسِ. So again, the Quraysh had divided people into nas, and I think it's called they had a word for it. The Quraysh had a certain word. So you're either this people or those people, right? Just like in Hinduism, right? There's different castes. They divided people this, right? You're this caste, you're that caste, right? In England, for example, my assembly on a Monday morning, we gather in the church, like we had a school, and then you gather in the church for assembly, and you would see the lines are like this, and then there's lines ahead. So this is for the commoners, that's for the important people. So in the church divided people, right? The church divided people. There's the normal person, and then the wealthy, they're over there. They're not the same, right? This is how religions work, right? Go to Israel right now. There's Jews and then black Jews. They're not the same. Yeah, but so they say, no, we're from the descendants of Suleiman. We're from Ethiopia. We're Jews for the last ever. Yeah, but you're not that kind of Jew, right? And so this is all of us. May Allah forgive us. So they had done this, and then they said, there's rituals that these people do and rituals that these people do. No. ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس. Nas meaning all people. It's all the same. You're all the same. And seek Allah's grace, and seek Allah's forgiveness. Surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And when you have fulfilled your sacred rites, praise Allah as you used to praise your forefathers before Islam, or even more passionately. There are some who say, our Lord, grant us your bounties in this world, but they will have nothing in the hereafter. Yet there are others who say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. They ask Allah, oh Allah, give us in this. So it says, oh Allah, grant us the good of this world. That's not what it says. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا means, oh Allah, give فِي الدُّنْيا in this life حَسَنَةً, an unlimited amount of beautiful good things. That's hasana. It doesn't say al-hasana. It says hasana. It's indefinite, unlimited. You couldn't put a limit to it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to limit you in the dunya. Allah wants to spoon feed you with non-stop blessings. There's nothing wrong with being the wealthiest person, healthiest person, every single thing possible and impossible. Not wrong. As long as you do it through Allah. Not a problem. Allah wants to give you the good of this life and the good of next life and protect you from the hellfire. Sayyidina Ali, he said, what does this mean? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً, a good wife. وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً, a good wife. وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, a good wife. Right? So, pretty important. It is they who receive a heavenly reward for the good they have done. Surely Allah is swift in reckoning. And remember Allah during these appointed days. Whoever departs swiftly on the second day is not sinful. Neither are those who stay behind till the third day seeking additional reward. What does this mean? So on Eid, you go to the Jamarat and you stone and you slaughter your sheep and you shave your head. Then you go to the Kaaba and you go around the Kaaba 7 times, and you go between Safa and Marwa 7 times, and now you finished the main parts of Hajj. Thereafter, you're going to go to Mina and spend the night at Mina, right? So you didn't do that on Umrah. You don't go to Mina and Umrah. You just do the many thing, right? So now I'm going to go to spend the night at Mina, and the next day I'm going to go and stone the Jamarat again, and then I'm going to spend the night at Mina, and the next day. So that's 2 days. So now I have an option. You could either do 2 days or 3 days. So Allah says it's fine. You want to go, you can go on the second day. And if you want to, you can stay on the third day. It's okay. So long as they are mindful of the Lord, they have taqwa. Be mindful of Allah. So notice the shift. It's all about rituals. No, it's all about taqwa. So the Prophet ﷺ, he taught people, don't worry about the details, worry about Allah. Right? Don't worry about the details, worry about Allah. So what is the focus? So many people, they worship rituals. I'm paranoid that I didn't put my toe in the right place in prayer. Did you focus in prayer? No. That's more of a problem because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlooks certain things. A little bit of najasa here, a little mistake here. You couldn't pronounce this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlooks the outward. As long as you get it done roughly okay. He doesn't overlook the inward. So you didn't focus in prayer. There's actually no prayer. So we're not even talking about prayer. There's nothing even happening to begin with. Right? Okay. There are some hypocrites who impress you with their views regarding worldly affairs and openly call upon Allah to witness what is in their hearts. So Allah reminds them, the mushriki, the munafiqeen, the fake Muslims around them, they impress them. Yet they are the worst, your worst adversaries. They seem nice. They say, Wallahi, I'm doing this. They're actually very bad people. And when they leave you, they strive through the land to spread mischief in it and destroy crops and cattle. Allah does not like mischief. And so we have to understand that we have good opinion of other people. We have to understand that we're trying to help other people. But there will always be kuffar and there will always be munafiqun. There will always be fake Muslims. There will be certain people who are around. That person should not be in power. That person should not be listened to. That person should be silenced. Period. In a diplomatic way. Right? There are certain people, that's just the reality of them. Right? And this is what we see right now, is how does the West control the Muslim countries? By funding the munafiqun. So you have enough people around that are very bad, and all the good people cannot stand up and do anything. You can't do anything, right? One of my friends, he works for the royal family in a particular country, and one of the significant person in that royal family, he said to them, "You speak the truth." He said, "You speak the truth because I can't. There's a sniper there and there, because all my cousins have been sold out. So the CNN interviews me, I say something that will please the media, because there's a sniper there and there. There will be a car accident tomorrow morning. That's what will happen. So I can't speak." And you're like, "Oh, why didn't they do anything?" You don't know the situation. You don't know the control around them, right? And so there are munafiqun is a major thing, right? This is how the kuffar managed righteous people, is surrounding them with fake righteous people and make sure they destroy things, right? Okay, and when it is said to them, "Fear Allah," pride carries them off to sin. Hell will be their proper place. What an evil place to rest. And again, I remember this khutbah. Again, these are khutbahs you would never hear in Jordan, because Jordan is not like that. But there was this one khutbah where this guy, he's saying, the sheikh is saying, yes, the Mahdi is coming. Yes, he's going to bring back justice at your cost. You politician A, politician B, politician C, politician da da da. You're the ones who are all going to suffer, right? And it's going to be the very few that will benefit. So you shouldn't be happy that it's happening, right? Just like when the Prophet ﷺ came, look what happened to the religious establishment that was waiting for him. It was at their cost because they didn't have ikhlas, right? So he's probably when the Mahdi comes, he's probably gonna fire me, fire half of the people, fire, get all these people. I don't want to see these people, get them out, and I want this person, right? So Sayyidina Umar, he was very, very tough on his governors, very tough on his governors. He wasn't nice with them, because you're responsible. I'm going to ask you to be responsible, right? And he's not going to be there, okay, I forgive you, it's okay, it's all nice. You have to be tough on your governors in order to help the people, right? And so, this is how it's going to be. May Allah protect us. And there are those who would dedicate their lives to Allah's pleasure, and Allah is ever gracious to His servants. So again, this is something that we strive towards, and is a mentality. We cannot be perfect, but we can accept. We can not accept from ourselves imperfection. So you put a standard for yourself, saying I'm either going to do the fard or the sunnah. I'm not going to do anything else. Okay, well, that's not going to happen, is it? So yeah, but I can not accept from myself that I do other things. So last night when I was breaking my fast and I ate more than I had to, I don't accept that. And tonight, inshallah, I'm not going to do it. Yesterday, when I could have prayed 2 more rakats, I should have done it. And I don't accept it, right? There's a big difference between somebody says it's okay, not a big problem, as opposed to I don't accept it, right? A business person, somebody who loves money. Like last year, we made $4 million, but we can make more. So we're going to make more this year, right? That's somebody who has ambition. Somebody for us is like, yes, I was focused for half of the prayer, but I don't accept that. And I only accept 100% focus on Allah. So now I'm going to strive for that, right? So they dedicated themselves to Allah's pleasure. Like, what does Allah want me to do? That's what I want to do. Whether it's expensive, difficult, hard, easy, I don't care. And I'm going to fall on my nose. I'm going to make a million mistakes. I'm going to probably do things that are haram, and I'm going to say, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But at least I'm not going to accept that I leave something that Allah wants me to do, as opposed to, it's okay, it's only sunnah. Right? That's not a mentality that we should have. Right? If it's the best thing to do, we should do it. If we didn't do it, we say, oh, Allah, please, I'm sorry, I messed up, but inshallah, I'm starting again. Right? Get up again and try and do it. You prayed your prayer, the prayer was lame. It's like, I don't accept that prayer. Inshallah, my next prayer is going to be better. Right? Or I was harsh to somebody, I was cruel to somebody, I said things I shouldn't say, I don't accept it. So there's a big difference in somebody who accepts, right? Like Brother Muhammad is my employee, for example, he says, Fareed, let's look at the last 3 months. You did this to this, we can improve. And like, no, this is how I am. So how does he look at me? He's like, I told you what you need to improve, but you don't want to improve. I said, this is how I am. So now he's looking at me like, maybe we can find somebody else. As opposed to, thank you, Mr. Shoman, I really appreciate it. Could we perhaps meet in a week as well to discuss how way I can help implement these points as well? I said, sure. So now I'm keen to please. I'm keen, like I know that I'm wrong, but I'm keen to do what is right. There's a big difference, right? So we can't be perfect, but we can aim for perfection. Right? That's what the Prophet said. Saddidu. Saddidu means aim for the right direction. Waqaribu, right? And accept that you're not going to get there. But at least you aimed, as opposed to, I don't even intend to do sunnahs, right? I don't even intend to focus on prayer, right? I don't even intend to do a good job. It's like, okay, it's not the same thing. There's a big difference between these two people. And Allah is ever gracious to His servants. O believers, enter into Islam wholeheartedly, or in all aspects of Islam. So this is a key thing. I'm Muslim, meaning I usually eat halal food. I'm Muslim in that I would go to a janazah, and if somebody dies, I recite Quran. But that's about it. No. Kafa means every single thing about Islam. The way you walk, talk, park, drive, buy a house, sell a house, go to the bathroom, talk to your kids, talk to your wife, the environment, right? So this is a major issue. For example, environment stuff is a major issue. It's not. So there's two things which I want to share, like as a just as a fellow imperfect slave of Allah, right? I'm not a good person. I don't consider myself a good person. I don't claim that I'm a good person, but at least I can share some of the things that help us look at things, right? Gaza and the environment. Like I can't say that on Judgment Day I'm not going to be asked about Gaza or Sudan or anybody else for that matter. I can't say that. Like I don't know what to do, but that doesn't mean I'm not responsible, right? And I don't know what to do about the environment, but that doesn't mean I'm not responsible, right? So there's a principle in fiqh, which is ad-daruratu tubih al-mahdhurat, that duress makes the haram halal. So let's look at the ozone layer, for example. Okay, look at the ozone layer and say, are we messing up the environment, destroying the ozone layer and causing global warming? Most probably. It might not be true. Trump says no, but maybe we are, right? Certainly, there's major problems. We are, taking the, major issues. So you and I, we drive cars, right? Like I drive a 3.5 liter engine, which is huge. Like, that doesn't even exist in England, probably, right? It's a huge car, right? And so I'm using fuel that I don't need to use, right? So is it halal? Say it's halal, but the principle is الضرورات تقدر بقدرها, only to the extent you need to. She said you do not need to drive a big car. So you didn't need to drive a big car. You see at the school here, how many people are driving a van? You're driving a van. What? You have 8 people in the car? No, you have 2. So why are you driving a van when you need 2? Right? So you had a bigger car than you needed. That's number one. Principle, this is a bigger principle, is darurat, right? When you have a duress, that doesn't take away someone else's rights. Okay? So I was in a situation to take my son to hospital immediately. I broke into Muhammad Shaman's car. Okay, smashed the window, whatever, managed to start the engine and just drove. I'm allowed to do that because it's an issue of emergency. However, still owe him the money for the day of using his car and for the glass. So how are we going to pay back the next generation for the damage to the environment?
Yeah.
So we're allowed to use cars if it's a necessity. That's true. Say, Ya Allah, but you're still going to have to pay them back for the damage. And what if it's irreparable? Right? So this is not, so I don't know the answer. You say, okay, Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh, you told me a problem, you didn't give me this problem. I don't know. But at least we can be like, man, I'm worried. The poor people in the world, the innocent people in the world who are being killed, suffering, I don't know what to do about it. Ya Allah, I fear you concerning this thing. Just like if you had your own kid, imagine your son is an alcoholic. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Ya Allah. So you're like, it's not my responsibility. What do you mean it's not? So there's a difference between saying, I don't know what to do. This is my responsibility. Ya Allah, please help me solve it. So you met Allah saying, oh Allah, I at least thought about it. How the environment, this is a problem, right? And this is my dad, Allah yarhamu, he said, when you go to California, take its good and don't take its bad. In California, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of people who think like that. In California, a lot of people who think, how can we solve these problems? But if we, the Muslims, are the last person to think about it, we're the last person to think about the environment. That means what? That means we're here to take and not give. That means we're not shepherds, right? King Charles gave a whole lecture on Islam and the environment. Like, that's King Charles. He has a whole lecture. It's like, that's a bit embarrassing that King Charles should talk about why Muslims should look after the environment. And he was talking about some problems in water levels in the Punjab and this and this and this. Like, he knows more about what Allah says about the environment than us. And he cares about it more. That's a bit of an embarrassing situation, right? Imagine if King Charles is just watching somebody pray and he corrects them on the Fatiha. It's like, subhanAllah, right? So what I'm trying to say is, Islam is every single thing in your life. It's not just this, it's not just this, it's this, every single thing. We're not perfect, we're not angels, we can't do everything, but we can at least say, okay, this. When you say Allah when you say Allah is not part of my washing machine, you're wrong. How you stack your washing machine, Allah is part of that. How you look after how do you talk to this, how do you Allah is part of every single thing in your life. That's called Iman. Every single decision, Allah's part of it. So we have to ask, is it a hukm shara'i? Is it something halal? Is it haram? Is there a sunnah? Is there this or is that? As opposed to, yeah, Allah has nothing to do with me and my money. Allah has nothing to do with me and my fun, right? That wasn't Ramadan, khalas. Now it's me time. Whatever I do, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Exactly, al-Qarun, right? It's not like that, right? It's not like that. May Allah protect. So Allah, so wholeheartedly and in every single aspect of your religion, right? And do not follow the footsteps of the devil. We mentioned that before. For indeed, he is your sworn enemy. It's the second time Allah is telling us. If you falter, if you fall after receiving clear proofs, then know that Allah is almighty and all wise. He can do away with you. We don't have to be here tomorrow morning. We could all be in a bar tonight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you know what? Just go away. Allah can bring other people. Allah's replacing us all the time. Allah's replacing us all the time. Muslim Spain went down. Ottomans came up. That's how it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are dispensable. Allah doesn't need us. We need him. Right? So Allah is mighty and he's wise. He can choose how to do things how he wants. Are they waiting for Allah Himself to come in a shade of clouds with His angels? Is that what you want? If He did, then the matter will be settled. Oh, I'm waiting till the Mahdi comes. When the Mahdi comes, I'm going to start doing good. Great. It's already going to be over. Right? And to Allah, all matters will be returned for judgment. Ask the children of Israel how many clear signs we have given them, and whoever trades Allah's favor after receiving it for disbelief should know that Allah is indeed severe in punishment. The life of this world has been made appealing to the disbelievers. They love it. And they laugh at the believers. You are all stupid. You believe in God who doesn't exist. You do weird things that don't make any sense. Those who are mindful of Allah will rank above them on Judgment Day. And Allah will provide for whoever He wills without limit in the dunya and the akhirah. You do what is right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the dunya and the akhirah. So it's either lose, lose, or win, win. This is what people don't understand. Like, don't be so religious. Because if you're religious, you miss out on the dunya. No. If you're religious, you win in the dunya and the akhirah. And if you're not religious, you lose in the dunya and the akhirah. It's win-win or lose-lose. And inshallah, so he gives without limit, or he gives without measuring. Like that's the word stint. Stint is to measure something, right? بِغَيْرِ حِسَاب. Allah doesn't even count. If I say, here's a blank, Allah gives blank checks. That's what it is. Allah gives you a blank check, right? And just a thing to understand that, right? Let's imagine, for example, just how Allah gives, okay? Let's imagine somebody who is disabled and they are not good looking, they do not have good money, and they're not funny, and they're not entertaining, and they're not intelligent. Somebody else who's a kafir, who is good looking, healthy, wealthy, popular, powerful, everything. So like, I don't understand how Allah could give to one, not the other. So what if the person who's disabled chews with one tooth on a piece of grain and enjoys it 50,000 million times more than the other person enjoys getting drunk or enjoys going on a 2-month holiday? So it's a key thing when you say pleasure, pleasure is not the same for different people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could give you in a material way. You could see like, oh, I actually have more cars than him, I have more money. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could make you happy in something very insignificant and make that person completely empty. Like they have this, 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 there's just nothing. And they're like, I don't have anything, right? Like a heroin addict. For a heroin addict, nothing is pleasurable because they got to this stage, and now when they see their kids, it doesn't make them happy. With their wife, it doesn't make them happy. When they eat food, it doesn't make nothing makes them happy apart from that same place. And that same place is always beyond reach. So they're very miserable, very miserable. So if you looked at the chemicals in their body, say, oh, this person has more pleasure than this person. Or you look at certain things, this person has more cars, this person is more popular, it's fine. But the measure of pleasure, how much pleasure you get from looking at a flower that doesn't belong to you. This poor man, he used to walk down a thing and just see a flower that didn't belong to him. So Allah could give to that person, and the other person who owns the flower doesn't benefit from it. He's like, oh, miserable. So that's what happens with the dunya. You have the dunya, they're actually all miserable people. Right? So it's a very key thing to understand that what Allah can make out of something small, and what little Allah can make out of something big. You have everything, but there's nothing there. He's the one who makes you smile, and he's the one who makes you cry, not the dunya, not money or this or this or this or this. And just one example of that before I stop was I knew a sheikh, he couldn't have any children. Right? There's a sheikh, he couldn't have any children, but he was so nice to all children. And he advised people in their marriages, and he advised people in these things, etc. And it's like, subhanAllah, he has children, even though he doesn't have children. And the people with children don't have children, even though they have children. Right? So Allah, that's rizq, right? That's rizq. He's the reason why, for example, these people are happy, why it happens, and the kids, etc. Right? My kids remember, oh yeah, we remember that sheikh. That was like 5 years ago when they were little, Abdul Razak was like 4 or 3.5, 4. He's like, yeah, I remember the sheikh. How do you remember the sheikh? Because the sheikh had a heart. He was a nice person, and So there's a big difference, right? So this is rizq. Rizq is not having something. Rizq is benefiting from something. They don't benefit from it. I'm a millionaire, but you don't spend it, right? I'm a millionaire, but I'm always scared that people don't kill. Like I'm a mafia boss. If I'm not high, then I'm concerned that people are going to kill me, right? That's how it is as a mafia guy. Because I know that everybody around me is trying to kill me. So unless I'm on drugs, when I'm off drugs, then all I'm thinking about is who's going to kill me. So do I live a happy life? No. But he has money and he has this and he has this. It's not nice. May Allah forgive us all. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa atubu.
In UAE,
yes,
they had a iftar parties, all government officials.
Yeah.
In the Hindu temple.
In the temple.
In the temple. In the temple.
May Allah protect us.
Allah give them hidayah.
Ameen.